Hey, welcome back to 2SkeGEEKS. It's your boy Will Call and my partner.
John Michael here. Welcome back to the channel, everybody.
Hey, and I'm gonna let John do the intro because you see another face up here. So I'm gonna let John do the intro because he was the one who brought this brother to the fold. So I'm going to pause. Go ahead, brother Jay.
Hey, everyone, those people who will join us in watching this a little later on, we have a very special guest today, Mr. Matt Odum. I came across Mr. Odum here at went to a one-day show, and it's so funny. He happened to be on one side of me. There was another guy closing in on the other side of me. It was a one-day comic book show, and I happened to be looking at a Matt Baker box. But this guy knows a heck of a lot more about Matt Baker and Golden Age than I do. So I remember he came up to me. He said, "Hey, where's the Matt Baker box?" I said, "It's right here." And so he was standing right there, Matt here. He was standing right there when another guy pushed my hand out the box and started looking in the Matt Baker box. I said, "What the heck is going on here?" Wait a minute. And the guy did say, yeah, I said, wait 1 minute. But anyway, yeah, I just introduced Mr. Matt Odum here. This guy is a phenomenal Golden Age, Silver Age collector. He's one of us. He is one of the comic book geeks, boy. All right, here he is, Mr. Matt Odum.
Hey, man, John, I appreciate it, man. Will, it's a pleasure to put a face with the name.
Yes, sir.
Glad to be here, man. And as John stated, yep, we met at the Atlanta Comic Convention last fall, and it was quite an experience just to walk around and see another brother that's in the Golden Age comics. And so I talked about that thing to another buddy of mine, and I was still joking about that incident right there that he's talking about, where the fellow was trying to, and I saw that dude recently, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
yeah, he looked at me. I saw him at a show this past weekend, and he looked at me like, "I know you from somewhere." And I was like, "Yeah, you that dude that was going to get turned over at the show." And it was funny, boy. That was funny.
Man, but, if I saw him at another show, I probably wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah, I remember faces. So I saw him at the show, and a little short fella. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and we were able to find some good stuff, and then find out we had a lot of common ground. So glad to be here, man. I unloaded, man, so I didn't know what y'all wanted me to bring, so I tried to load up on a lot of stuff. So I got a ton of stuff here to show if y'all, whenever y'all ready.
We're ready, man. Just because, we want to learn some of the stuff to educate what you have done and to educate yourself and share some of that with the audience, because a lot of the folks that we have dealt with so far are usually either silver or modern, silver up to modern. So we're glad to have you educate us.
Yeah. So I got in the Golden Age. Actually, a lot of people, it's a misnomer, like I just got into it, but I've gotten into it heavy now. But I've always picked up Golden Age books as I went along. I'm a student of history. History was my favorite subject when I was in high school. So I believe in, when I see things that's old, I tend to pick them up. So the first that I can remember Golden Age comic book that I bought was back in 15, and it was Walt Disney, Ghost in the Grotto, which is turned out that's actually an expensive book, but I found it at my LCS. I think I paid maybe $20 for it or something along that line. But I just was like, what, this is old Walt Disney. Why is this, at this price? And so I started buying Walt Disney books whenever I saw them. And I started buying older books. I started looking at other stuff, and then I started looking into Matt Baker. I said, you know what? Who was the first Black comic book artist? And so Matt Baker popped up, and I looked and I said, you know what? I am for to go on a tear finding Matt Baker books, because as a brother, that kind of stuff really meant a lot to me, personally, because I find it very amazing that a brother back in the 40s was actually putting out that kind of art and was actually being put to the forefront, and so, and people were buying his work, and so I don't know back, I hadn't did enough knowledge to know, but I just find it remarkable that a brother was putting out work and white folk were buying it, back then. So, I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start looking up his stuff. So Matt Baker, next thing you know, I went from Matt Baker. I started looking up different artists. I said Jack Kamen. Then I said LB Cole. I've fallen in love with LB Cole. And it's,
Mhm.
Golden Age is a rabbit hole. I tell brothers, I'm like, when you get ready to get in the Golden Age, there's two things you need to know. You got to have a deep wallet at times, and a lot of patience. And a lot of patience. But there are deals to be had. It's relatively, it's kind of a niche section of comic book collecting. Unless you're dealing with a dealer who is into it themselves, they usually don't know what it is. Or they
Mhm.
usually don't find it because, as we all know, with modern and Silver Age comics, we tend to go to the stores, and first thing they do is they go right to eBay, and
Yeah.
then they'll go look, and this is what it's going for XYZ. Well, with Golden Age, because it's so rare and there's so
Right.
few books, there's really not a place to go look. You have to kind of like know the market, which requires a person to do a lot of homework. And so therefore it makes it fun and easier to obtain nice Golden Age books, as opposed to me trying to, like, I had a friend earlier before we went on was texting me about a modern book, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go get out my house and ride over to the comic book store to get a book that's probably going to be worth $5 in 5 or 6 years. I prefer to go look for solid, as one of the shows that I host, Solid Gold Soul. So I prefer to go get the good stuff, man. So I've got stuff dating back to the 1930s or late 1930s. Matter of fact,
Mhm.
one of my favorite books over here is from the 1930s. And people ask me, they say, well, how can I get in the Golden Age? And I tell them, there are characters that you can start out with in Golden Age that can get you to, as a bridge character, that can get you to other stuff. You don't necessarily go to the highest of the height, but
Mhm.
because what I found that happens in Golden Age collecting is you'll start one way, and then you'll probably pivot to go to another way. So like, you may say, like me, I'm in the good girl art, which is what Matt Baker drew a lot of. I do a lot of good girl art, but now I look for a combination of good girl and Western, or I look for good girl and crimes. So I
Right.
like like having books of women sticking up people, because that was unheard of back in that time for women that be accomplish the crime, like that. So I tend to buy those kind of books. Horror,
Mhm.
horror now is probably going to be the most expensive uh foray of collecting Golden Age, because one, there's extremely sought after. Some books, the wilder the cover, the more it's worth. That's what I
Yeah.
used to tell people. However crazy the cover is just about how wild the book is, or unless it's extravagant art like LB Cole. So I've actually seen someone pay $500 for a book and turn around and sell that book for 6 figures. So that kind of tells you how the value wise Golden Age books work.
Right.
And I tell people, it's just like, if I collect because I love this stuff, but I also have enough sense to know that this stuff is worth something, and what I do is, and what I've done is I've moved away from collecting a lot of modern stuff. Let me put it to you this way: I buy modern stuff, but I buy it when it's on sale. So if I go to
Mhm.
this, like, instead of breaking my neck to go out to the store on Wednesdays, because we've all been there. We've all been there. You go Wednesday, you trying to take a lunch break, you're trying to beat everybody there. You heard about the hottest book, you're trying to get there. And if it ain't there, you're driving around for about 5 hours trying to find one particular book. Wait a couple of more months, wait to Black Friday, you can get the book for probably $1, $2 on a back bin
Right.
sale. What I found is with Golden Age books that are sought after, there's only a few of them. You may only see them 2 or 3 times in your life. Uh,
Mhm.
and so you have to make a decision on, do I want this book or do I not? Because the odds of you finding it again is probably about 35%. Because I've seen some books I've seen more than once, but then there's some I've only seen it one time, and that's it. Or it's kind of a situation where people go, I didn't even think that exists. Like, I saw a book yesterday, uh, and I would have never knew it existed. And then you go try to find it, you're not gonna find it, because the person that found it themselves kind of stumbled into it. So it's one of those
Right.
things where, golden age books are just they're a good investment, and they hold their value. We're in a down market right now. If people are looking to buy stuff for value, I call it a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Where
Correct.
you're in the buyer's market, and it's across all genres of comic book collecting. And this is actually the best time to go out and look for, for books. 20, 21, and 20 was absolute worst time to
Mhm.
look, especially 21. That was absolutely the worst time to go look for comic books, And so now you can go out, find some stuff. I found some really good stuff this past weekend. I usually tell people antique shops, flea markets, that's a good place to start at.
Mhm.
Dig around at flea markets, hit the road. One of the big things I tell people, you got to get on the road. You got to get on the road. A lot of comic collectors have a bad habit of they go to the same 6 stores week in, week out, week in, week out, week in, week out. And I've almost got down to the science, but most times collections don't come in for about 2 to 4 months. That's usually when a new collection will probably come in. And then you gotta hope something comes in that collection that's worth it. And like I said, golden age is already tough to find. So probably on smaller shops, you're probably gonna see that stuff maybe once or twice in 2 years at some
Right.
shops.
Right.
Now there are certain stores, like we all know one in particular, that they got a back stock of that stuff, and it's been tucked away for 20 years, and it just never made it to the floor yet. But we know
Mhm.
it's sitting in there. But
Yeah,
so,
I have the inside track. It's on the way, Matt.
the
It's on the
intel.
way. It it has already begun, but it didn't really explode out yet. But I know in weeks to come, it's going to be coming from
Yeah.
back there. Yeah.
Yep. But so you can go to different stores. I always tell people, get on the road, go to the country, and just
Yeah.
drive around. I'm a photographer by trade, so a lot of times I'm out of town on assignment. So I'll stop wherever I'm at. I always stop, especially if I have a morning gig where it's only like an hour, 30 minutes or whatever. I'll spend
Mhm.
8 hours at a company, driving around, going to different stores, trying to see what I can find, and then head back home. So that's usually how I usually buy things. But yeah, enough of me babbling, man. I know what y'all want. I see it in Will's face.
Hey, well, hey, go ahead, John. You got a question, and then I'll ask you,
Oh,
John.
no,
Go
I was
ahead,
gonna
y'all
say,
ask a question.
yeah, I was gonna say, Matt, yeah, to that point of, yeah, you got to get on the road. So whenever I'm on the road, boy, I open up that comic shop locator app,
Yep.
and I let it, then I put the address in my navigation. I let it take me to some places. Yeah, and that's how you find the books. You right, and you can just I go to some of those places, and I mean I see things. I'm like, man, I've never seen these things before.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so let me tell you this too. Another thing is don't be afraid to when you go to some of these dealers, man, especially at shows, ask, hey man, what can you do? Because see, the good thing about Golden Age is they already know you're going to spend some money if you're picking that up. So
Mhm.
they're more inclined to give you a better deal on that as they would you trying to get a first appearance of Venom or something like that. They'll kind of like, nah, because they know what it is. But Golden Age, they say, okay, well, you can already spend some money anyway. So yeah, I'll give them a deal. And so you'll get a lot of good deals that way too, if you ask around. And then once you do it with enough people, people will know who you are by reputation. And then after that, they know when you walk in, they know what you're looking for. Hey, I got Matt Baker. I got this. I set this to the side for you. And
Mhm.
you have about
Right.
9 issues of stuff. And they say, well, hey, man, I gave you a deal on it. This is what I can do. And then, either you take it or you don't, But
Got you.
yeah.
Hey, my question is we are getting older, and the persons to whom those books really were sentimental to them when they were young, a lot of those folks have gone on now. Do you find with the golden age market, do you find it uh, because the age of the folks who came up with it, they're gone? How do you find that market or the demand, I should say, for golden age books? Do you because I know you said sometimes it's pretty easy or whatever, but I don't want to put words in your mouth and take the answers away from you. But how do you find the demand on that on Golden Age? Go ahead.
So I've got I'm in a Facebook group, couple of Facebook groups online, and I was actually looking at a conversation last week where a gentleman was asking about, are people aging out of Golden Age? And someone was in the chat. She was a young lady, as a matter of fact. She had to probably be maybe 27, 28. She was going around and she had some heavy hitters, man. I mean, she had some heavy hitters. I think what happens is that the longer you're in collecting, there's gonna come a plateau where you're gonna, if you're, you go get your 181s, 212s, your Daredevils, you get your who's who of Marvel books. There's going to become most people, what happens is they get all the way through a lot of that run and then they start looking at Captain America. And then when you go look at Captain America, you realize what genre he's in. Namor, Bucky, all these characters, and you go, well, wait a minute, that's Golden Age. Then you start seeing how much that stuff is, and you start getting a little curious. And you say, well, I've got to try to get these books. Well, yeah, you gotta save up a lot of money to get some early Captain America. And I mean just a random number. I mean, I ain't talking like one. I'm talking like 85. You're gonna pay $3,000 to get issue 85,
Yes, sir.
So it becomes that I just want to have it. And so what I find is that a lot of youngsters, what happens is they'll start out one way and they'll eventually over time get to start looking for Golden Age books, because it's just something that's mystifying. Like I said, these are books that most folks don't even see.
No.
Some folks you don't even see them, maybe one or two times. And so, I think that was over the next 15 years, you're going to start seeing, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see how the market is with some of these hot books, like, Venom. I'm just throwing them out there. Amazing Spider-Man 300, Fantastic Four. You're going to start seeing the market where those books are going to always be what we call blue chip books, but you're going to start seeing Golden Age books start inching up, because you're not going to be able to find them. If either one of y'all collected baseball cards, then you'll know that the vintage market of baseball cards is where most people go. What do you see most young men go gravitate towards? They're trying to find Jackie Robinsons and Willie Mays and Ted Williams and Hank Aaron's. They'll still go get your modern. They'll go get your Ja Morants and all that stuff. But when you watch them really tick, they go try to hunt down Mickey Mantles and all that kind of good stuff.
Matt, being in the school system over the years, I always let my students know I collect. You should see some of the stuff that has come through the classroom. But since I'm a good person, I remember one year this girl, she went into her grandfather's collection. she brought in those early rookie Lou Alcindor, Bob Cousy. I've seen a Mickey Mantle, but she had them like in a rubber band. I told that girl, I said, I put them on my desk to the end of the day. I called the parent and I said that she'll be bringing them back home, or you want to come meet her. And she took them back home. But because they said no, she wasn't supposed to go in there. That girl brought in some. She didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
She said, she said, I want to show you these. Boy, I remember that look of that Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rookie, that black and white with that pose. I'm like, I know this card is not in here. So I've seen a lot through the years. I'm gonna tell you one thing I remember. I went to a new school and they had like 37 clubs. So I chose the sports card club. And that was the biggest club. We had the most members. There were these two brothers. They just had a bead on getting the good stuff. So they had stacks and stacks of cards. And I knew when they had a good card, they put it in one of those thick acrylic screw downs or lockdown. Well, this was the very first year of jersey, game worn jersey cards.
Yeah, like 2008, 2009.
Yeah, in the mid 90s was the first
Oh yeah,
jersey card.
yeah, you're right.
The
And it was not 98, 97. It was back then.
They
I think.
they
Yep.
put those pieces of game worn used jersey in the cars. That yeah, mid 90s there. So you know what they brought in? They had a Dan Marino. Now the thing about their Dan Marino, of course there was quite a few of them, but they were hard to get. But their particular card, the way the jersey was cut, it ran through. Now, here's the thing: if you get a white piece of jersey, it's worth less than a piece of jersey in the card that runs through some color. Well,
Mhm.
these two boys' card happened to go through the dolphin on the jersey, so it had that different colors and a little piece of dolphin in it. Woo! Immediately after pack, they had a $750 card. And so I said, y'all, they showed it to me. Look, Mr. G, look. So anyway, I looked at it. I said, man, okay, put it back away. Do you know before that club was over that day, that card disappeared? Even in that screw down holder. That's one of my heartbreaks, and it wasn't even mine. Because I witnessed that card, and I haven't seen that card since. I haven't seen it again. But we never could. We never could find the card. We did a little search and brought somebody in, but I don't know how those boys took their eyes off of it, but they lost that card that day because it was $750 out of the pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, but you're right. The golden age, it will creep up, and then as you said, Matt, the market for these other comic books that have the blue chip potential, we'll see what they do over the next few years. They've used, you said it, but they have just run Hope 181 in the ground. I almost I mean I have a copy,
Yeah. I mean,
but
me too.
it's almost like you don't want to hear it anymore. You just you put it to the back.
Dude,
Yeah.
I
And
sold
so
mine.
yeah, he sure did. I mean, so you know what? I'm gonna tell you, I like Hope 182 better than 181. Because it had it had Cracker Jack Jackson in it, where Hope came across this hobo
Yeah.
and they shared a pot of beans. But it also had Hammer and Anvil. Oh man, it was
Mhm.
something about when I
Yeah.
was a kid, Hammer and Anvil. And then they updated Hammer and Anvil in a newer book. I didn't like the update.
Yeah.
That, but I like Hope 182. The story to me was better in Hope 182. But I'll give it back to you, Matt. I'm gonna give it
Yeah.
back to you.
But yeah, I agree. And I love my Hulk 181.
Mhm.
I have a copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 first print, and I
Well,
love
that's
those books,
hard to come by.
and
Yeah.
I got lucky on that one. That was one I got
Mhm.
real lucky on. Shout out to the man that sold it to me, man. He helped me out. He helped me jumpstart my collection. So I got quite a few books from that gentleman. But
Um,
I love those books. But like I said, there's something about the beauty of finding old vintage comic books, all the way down to the smell. I
I'm
just
Mhm.
telling you.
absolutely love it. So, I lit up this weekend. I went to a show down here in the middle of Georgia, and I hit the corner, and this guy had vintage. It was the big sign that said vintage comic books. And I was like, oh man, I've died and gone to heaven.
Your heart
Nothing but
skipped a
golden
beat.
age. Yeah, nothing but golden age books. That's all he sold.
Mm. Oh man,
And so, I had a
I, sh-
field day.
I should have gone down there.
Not to tell you, I told you to come.
Yeah, be sure to let me know the next one, and
I will. I
so
will, man. I will.
because they'll have another one at that same spot. Is that right down
Yeah,
the road?
we should have one in the fall.
Okay.
Yep, we should have one in the fall. But just collecting golden ages is really fun, man. It's just fun. History, you get a little bit of history in there. You get
That you do.
rarity. You get you learn about what a lot of people don't know this too. I collect a lot of romance, and you'll see this in a little while. I collect a lot of romance comics. And so a lot of people don't realize, I've seen a lot of collectors online on YouTube, and they've gone, well, why, what's the deal with guys getting romance books? Why are these guys going out getting these books? And a lot of people don't realize, man, a lot of your major artists, that's what they started out doing.
Yes, sir.
Stan Lee, he did a Millie the Model, all that good stuff, man.
Mhm.
So, a lot of that stuff is some of their first work, And so I love picking that stuff up. I love exploring the different genres of Golden Age. And you know, it's really fun. It brought when I got fully into Golden Age, you know what it did, fellas? It brought the fun of collecting back. As y'all stated, I was tired of trying to go find the Tomb 12. You go to the show. Hey man, you got a Tomb Ejaculate 12? Yeah, I got it. It's $15,000. Okay, well, no, I'm not gonna be bothered with that, you know. I got one, but you know, not for that price, but I got one.
Right.
I got one. But you know, just trying to find certain books, you know, it's hectic. But with Golden Age, you can always grab one or two. John bought a book there at the show, and he didn't realize I knew I was praying he put it back. He didn't put it back. I was praying. I said,
I might have it over here, but
I actually found one. I actually found one for during Christmas, during the holidays. I saw one. It was I forgot his name now. I know it. It's a slab. You pay. It's a 2.5. I know. I remember that.
oh, was it not that? Was it that Gabby book?
Yeah, it was Gabby. Yep, with the girl on the scale.
Yeah,
And that's a tough one to find. And I said, well,
yeah, they because I wanted to complete the set. I've been looking, but
yeah, I found
yeah.
found that same one. I'm trying to figure. I can't remember where I found it, but I actually ended up getting it. It's in one of these boxes. And
Matt, Matt, do you want me to? I don't want to steal anything away from you. Do you want me to pull it up?
pull it up, brother. Pull it up.
I happen to have it. I happen to have it right here.
Pull it up. Yeah, that's it right there, man. Yep. And people say, well, how y'all find this stuff? And I think he paid maybe $200 for it, 150. It was nothing. And it's a rare book. That's a tough book to find. You just don't. How many times you gonna walk outside, go down to your local comic book store and find something like that?
You won't find that in a local comic book store.
No, you're not gonna find it. And that's what makes it so fun. I love collecting.
Yeah, that's
you know. And I knew he knew what he was doing when he picked it. I said, because most folks don't even know. I was like, yeah, this is a true collector right here. So, you know.
This is a Gabby number 7. Mm-hmm.
I beat him though. I got another book. Will, I got a book. I'm gonna show y'all in a little bit. I think he said one of them. I got him though. I beat him by one. I snuck one on him, but I ended up getting that first. But I ain't gonna show. I'll wait. I'm gonna show it because it's in here somewhere. It's in one of these piles. So I'm gonna pull it out.
I got it.
But yeah, I love getting this stuff, man. I love collecting Golden Age books, and first thing I do when I walk into a comic book store, hey, where's the Golden Age? 9 times out of 10, it's usually, oh, I just got a little bit over here. You know, it's all Classics Illustrated.
Right.
But I will throw this nugget out there. There is a rare issue. I put it back somewhere, but there's a rare issue of Classics Illustrated. It's like issue 109, 110. It's actually one of the lowest census books that's out there. For some weird reason, that one particular issue is like one of the hardest ones to find. So, yeah, it looked good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good? All right, Matt. Let's let the party begin.
Okay, all right. So I will show you my first start out with some of my favorite books right out the gate. This was one book I bought from an LCS, man. I paid $30. And when I got the book, I bought it based off of the cover. And so I wasn't paying attention to it that it was a 10 center at the time. I just really was fascinated by the cover. And so I took it up to the register. I knew what it was. I knew what one of the characters was. And so I was like, okay, this might be where, you know, I might have to end up here putting this one back. Because you know how it is. You go to the front, that book, you know, they flip them when you know, y'all know how it goes. Mm-hmm. So I took the book up to the counter. Owner looked at me. I looked at him. He looked at me. I looked at him. He looked at the book. He said, $30. So I kept my composure. I didn't want to flip because then he would have knew I knew the gate was up. So I said, okay, all right. You know, I didn't want to say nothing. And so I got out of Dodge, got home, and looked and realized this is one of the hardest books to find in that particular run. And it's a sought after book based on the cover. Now it's really popular and people are looking for it. And so I was glad that to have it. I got it slabbed last. And this is Wild Comics number 38.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of Mary Marvel's. This is like one of her iconic covers.
Yes, sir. In fact, DC just did an honors cover about 2 months within the last month or two with that same book.
Yeah, this is.
I haven't. Yeah, I have not seen that book since. I've been collecting so long, Matt. A lot of people are just now jumping in the game because that's what Will and I talked about. They try to flip books,
Yeah,
but that book I saw back in '78 or '79. Like you were mentioning some of the Golden Age books earlier. I mean, I've held the Action Comic 1 in my hand, a Detective 27. Now you can't get near them. But
yeah,
back in the '70s when they were at shows, I think they may have been anywhere from 7 to 10,000 or sometimes 6,000. Now they're way beyond that. But I've held them in my head. But I haven't seen that. I have not seen that book. Yeah, that's iconic. I haven't seen it since the '70s. I saw one in the '70s.
Yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite books right there, man.
Woo! That's beautiful.
It's funny
That's
you bring up Action Comics and Tech 27 back in the day. And it's crazy because I remember Hulk 181. I remember when I was probably 14. I had to been 14 to 15. And I remember going to the comic book store and that book was like $34 back then.
Mhm.
On the wall. And I was thinking to myself, then, damn, that's a lot of money, I can't afford that. That's just a lot of grass I gotta cut, And so I remember being $34, and I hate I didn't get it.
I'll tell you how I got mine. Well, one was taken. The first one, Matt, I bought off a spinner rack, 7-Eleven. This guy Tony used to pick us up from school in a station wagon. I bought my Hulk 181, the first one, off of a spinner rack, 25 cents. Now the second one, when I was in high school, me and a guy Paul worked in a comic book store. So we would go in there Saturday. The owner wouldn't be there Saturday. He would leave his daughter there, and she didn't want a bag. She didn't want to sell books. She said, "My dad made me run his shop today. I could be somewhere else." So me and Paul would come there and do everything: sweep the floor, bag and board all the books, straighten up stuff. So at the end of the day, she would go, "Take what books you want." Man, one of those Saturdays, I picked up a Hulk 181. And that year, you know what? That was 1982. And she said, when we get 2 or 3 stacks, she'd go, "Okay, that's enough." And then that would be our pay for the day.
That was a good friend. Hey, you need to call her and tell her thank you.
Yeah,
Look her up on Facebook. Tell her thank you.
Oh man, I could not find her. I remember her dad ran the store. I don't even remember her name. He'd have his daughter there running. I can't remember her name. That was 82. Yeah. She would pay us in comics on Saturday. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So this is another one. This is one that I recently acquired last year. I got this book. I couldn't believe that I got it for the price I got it. The dude, I don't think the dude even realized what it was. And that happens a lot with Golden Age. A lot of people don't even realize what the book is. So you're able to get a book, because they don't know what it is. And so this one here, this is Popeye Feature Books number
Pappy.
5. This is from 1937.
Woo!
5.0. So
that's high grade for 37.
Very high grade for a platinum.
Yeah.
This is not Golden Age. This is actually platinum age.
Platinum.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is really, really tough to come by. This was number 4 or 5. I think this is one of his earliest appearances.
Right.
Nothing on the cover, nothing in the book, but pictures. There was no words in these when they first came out with them. So a lot of people, they'll say, "Well, I got the first Popeye." If it does not come out of feature book, their first run, unless it's the hardback book, because the hardback book was the original. But these were the first printed comic books, and these retold a lot of the strips that were printed before that.
Yes, sir.
But these are the ones that if you can get your hands on these, grab them. And believe it or not, I've seen some of them. I've got this one and I've got another one, but this is the only one I got slabbed. But they out there.
Yeah.
Some of these out there. You can find these, man. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at how a lot of people, as I say, leave meat on the bone,
Yeah, that's old Pappy.
Yep. So I do have some Silver Age. I bought this years ago. but this is Avengers #3.
Woo!
I bought this it was the 0.5, and somebody sold it for $100. And I said, well, you know what? I'll take it. It's a single-digit Avengers, #3. I could care less about the they said, well, you got a page missing. I said, I could care less. And I always tell people, as long as I see that cover, it's encased anyway. That's all that matters. So I pick them up when I see them. So
Yeah, I don't blame you because yeah, you just don't come across those books. You're gonna pay regardless of.
yeah,
I mean, so anything at 0.5 is a single digit Avengers, you're gonna pay through the nose. I don't care what it is.
yeah.
Man, I'll tell you too, Matt. It was years ago. I went to a funeral in Cincinnati, and we were driving in the car, and then my then late wife, Andrea, she said, "Hey, there's a Spider-Man sign in the window." There's because I was looking the other way.
Yeah.
I turned that way and look. I said, "Oh yeah, it's a comic book store." I said, "So after everything is done and all the and the repass is over," I said, I may visit that. And so it happened to be Queen City Comics. Have you heard of that, Matt? That store?
I've heard of I've heard it in passing.
Yeah. And so and actually in Queen City Comics, the Toy Hunter, he went there one time.
I think
And
that's where I remember hearing it from. Yeah.
on that Toy Hunter show, on that series, he actually found but he couldn't pay the money for it. There was actually a rocket firing Boba Fett at that store. The guy had a rocket firing Boba Fett in the back room. But the thing about Queen City Comics, he had 2 huge rooms. This might have been 10 years ago. But do you know he still had back issue bins with like double-digit books, like double-digit Spider-Mans? I just didn't have the funds for that. I couldn't believe that he still had those early 70s or 60s books. It looked like when I was a kid, the back issue bins. I couldn't believe the books that were in the back issue bins. Yeah, that was Queen City Comics. I wonder if it's probably still open.
Yeah, I
He
think
had
Queen
two-
City's still open. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're still open.
Yeah, in Cincinnati, he had 2 huge rooms, and the back issue bins.
You know
were
what?
just-
Yeah, I think it is open. If I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, I think Queen City is still
Okay.
open. Yep. All right. So I've got another Silver Age here. I got this one when I got back into collecting. I paid $25 for this thing. Daredevil 16. First Frank Miller Spider-Man. Not Frank Miller, excuse me. John
Romita.
Yeah, Johnny Romita.
Yeah, John Romita. So I was just a big fan of the cover. And so I was like, you know what? I like that. And I just picked it up.
I always did love that cover.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. And speak of what you said earlier, Matt, about artists that got their starts in romance. John Romita was one of them.
Yep, sure was. Yep.
I will be right back, y'all.
Okay.
I'll be right back. Let me enter this.
All right, so I'll show this one here. This is one I recently got here. This is Beware Terror Tales. #1 is from 1952. Now the cool thing about this is when you see these Fawcett horror books, they're harder to find. So
Yeah.
You see a Fawcett, you pick them up, man.
Because Fawcett was pretty much Shazam heavy.
Yep, the real Captain Marvel.
The real Captain Marvel, yeah.
The real Captain Marvel. All right. Come back.
Yeah, that's I can't imagine them pushing out a bunch of terror books back or horror books back in the day from Fawcett.
Mm-hmm. Now this is another one I got a good deal back yonder.
Oh man.
I remember 7. So when I bought the book, I was same buddy that I got my Ninja Turtles from. Let me rate his backstop. And so I would pull out stuff, get a price on it. And so he had this one already priced. He was like, well, I'll sell it to you for $400.
Okay. That wasn't bad.
It was just $400 or $500, one of the two.
Yeah, that ain't bad back in the day.
And I said, well, I got the cash, man. I'll take that. So I end up getting it, and immediately I got it slabbed. I think I bought it from him and told him to send it off to CGC, and it came back at 7.5. We both flipped like, wow, that's high grade for this cover.
What you talking about? And especially how much that book is worth now.
Yeah.
Holy smokalahakas.
Yeah, so I've got only 2 more to get before I complete the run of the big premiere issue. The other one is
oh man, I
think it's Nick Fury is the only other one. Nick Fury and there's one other one I can't remember right offhand. But I know it's expensive. I think it's Sergeant Rock, not Sergeant Rock. It's,
probably what Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commando.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, no, that's like, that's expensive. So, but yeah, I got this one, man. So I was glad to get this back. And when it came back at 7.5, I like flipped. Yeah, I love this Iron Man cover.
Yeah, it's legendary. Because
yes, sir.
When we're collecting as kids, the only way I saw that book, Matt, it was always in the ads in the middle of the book.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Man, I was like, oh, where can I find one? I was like, man, every time I saw that ad in the book, I was like, oh.
Was that Gene Colan? Was that Gene Colan or Don Heck?
I think that's Gene
Colan. Yeah, it's Gene Colan.
Okay.
Yeah. Gene Colan, yep.
Yep.
Boy.
All right, so this is another we talk about books you can get into. As y'all know, like I said, I'm into good girl art, but this is a really, really good entry-level book to get into that most people, they disregard them, but I pick them up every time I see them. It's Lil Abner.
Oh, Lil Abner. Yeah.
Wolf Girl, everybody. And so let me throw this out there too. This is Bob Powell. I'm a big Bob Powell fan too. But a lot of people don't know Frazetta actually started out doing work in this before he started doing everything else. So
yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. The one you want to look for is called it slips my mind. I'll probably pull it out of a pile over here in a second. So because I know the cover when I see it. But yeah, be on the lookout for some of that stuff with Frazetta in it. So
yeah, man, especially early Frazetta.
Yeah, these go for peanuts, man. You can get these for peanuts, believe it or not, man.
Yeah, but Lil Abner is a classic.
With that Frazetta art, y'all. I saw I forget what the show was. I saw the story of Frank Frazetta and the family. So they were splitting up the art. And so they had to get the youngest daughter to oversee everything because they were, of course, bickering over that art. Because some of the pieces are $2-3 million.
Yes, sir.
Like that Conan piece.
Yeah.
There's one that but in the midst of it, I'll try to make it short. In the midst of it, he has that museum. I forget what city the museum is in, up north somewhere. The one brother, he was like the black sheep of the family. In the middle of the night, he came with a pickup truck, broke into the museum,
and snatched everything. Yep.
But the alarm went off, and the middle brother was able to make it there right when he was pulling off, because it took him time to load up. So the middle brother got to the museum in the middle of the night. He had all millions of dollars of paintings loaded up in his truck, and he was able to get it all unloaded and force him to put it back in there. And they let him stay in jail, I think, a little while. He was probably one of the oldest brother, but they let him stay in not too long, and then they didn't press charges and they let him out. But they had to get the one daughter who did not care about art, or not to say she didn't care about her father's work, but she didn't have interest in wanting any of the pieces. Although she got some, she mediated the whole thing, and they were able to divide it all up. What they do now with a lot of that stuff, of course, is copyrighted. They reprint it. They make a lot of money, T-shirts, books, all of that.
We buy it to this day. Hell, that damn Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer, man.
Yeah, because they just put those books out. Now, I have the first print of those early volumes that came out in the 80s. I have volumes 1 through 4. they would be what you call today magazine size, but they were
Yeah.
on glossy, the covers were glossy stock.
Mhm.
There were 4 volumes. I got the first prints back in the 80s. Now, the cost of those back then, for, that magazine size, it put me out a little bit because it was the 80s. I wasn't making a lot. I was working, but yeah, I was able to get those. Anyway, yeah, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So next up is Matt Baker. We've got some Matt
Mm.
Baker coming around the corner, but it's not a Matt Baker that you would suspect because a lot of people don't even
Mhm.
realize it. It's Anchors and Andrews.
Mm.
This is one that goes right past people because it's not the normal
Yeah.
Matt Baker cover that you would see. But you got
Mhm.
Matt Baker and Carl Hubbard. They did the art on this. And so
You're exactly
one-
right. Yeah. They
this
go
is
with
one you could probably find for pennies on the dollar.
World
Like
War
I paid
II book.
$75 for this in the slab. So
Yes.
that
Wow.
so that kind of tell you.
You damn near paid for the slab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the idea. That's the idea because it's about what? Yeah, it's about $70 to get it graded.
Yeah,
For golden age.
Golden
Yes,
age
sir.
is expensive grading.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how they let it go for that, man.
So we're gonna double back around. We're gonna come up with another Matt Baker. This is one that John is gonna like. Planet.
Oh boy.
Wait, you mean to tell me now, I told you about that Planet Comics. You mean that Planet Comics, look at me, I can't even speak, is also a Matt Baker?
Matt Baker.
Oh, I got to get one. I like the cover, and I always wanted that book. I did not know that was
That's
a
number
Matt
33,
Baker.
right?
56.
56. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was one we were talking about on text earlier. Okay, this is number 56. Okay.
Which one you were talking about, John? I thought
I asked what
you
number.
you meant police cases. Which is that
That's
one?
what it was.
Yeah, it was that
No, I had to
authentic
find that one.
police
I
case.
think it's in that box right there.
It was that authentic police case. Yeah, I got to
Okay.
get that one too. But
I
that
thought you
Planet
were talking about
Comics.
this Planet Comics. Yeah, that's the one I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, I was talking about that one, but the second thing, you sent me the right number for authentic police case. Boy, that Matt Baker cover on that. I didn't know that Planet Comics right there was a Matt
man.
Baker
When I
cover.
saw this,
Oh man,
this was one of them. I was up in the middle of the night on eBay.
that's a ghost. That book is a
And
ghost.
it popped up, and I said, "Holy crap!" And I had to make a decision. I had to go, okay, do I wait? Do I miss this? Do I grab it? And I was like, you know what? Matt Baker, good girl cover, science fiction, win.
You ain't gonna find that again.
Win. Especially at a 5. I was like, yeah, I gotta get this.
Okay, what year is that, Matt? What year is that?
48.
40,
Yeah.
man.
This is one of my favorite good girl covers.
Oh yeah. And it's sci-fi. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. I love that, man. This is another one. This is another book I got. Matter of fact, I got this at the show where I met John. Yeah, I think I got this at the show when I met John. Action Comics.
Oh,
yeah.
That's my book.
Yeah, you did. You
Good old
did
Brainiac,
get that at
man.
that
Yeah.
show.
That's my book.
I'm not a big Superman fan, but the one villain I do like is Brainiac.
Hey man, watch
watch
our show. Watch one of our earliest shows. I said your favorite villains, and he is in the top 2. Man,
He's in my top 10 my top 8 villains. Yeah, Brainiac. Love Brainiac, man. So
I love Brainiac.
Yep, I had a chance to get
that.
this. I had a chance to get this a couple years ago from the same guy that sold me all those other books. But somebody beat me to it, and it was a lower grade. But it actually turned out I would have paid what I paid, would have bought that for. I bought this one for it. So if you know anything, these are hard to find in
Yes, sir.
to a 1/8, actually, a 1/8. So I was able to find a 4. And I didn't even spend over $1,500. So I was like, it was a win-win across the board. So
man, because I've been on a spree. I've been looking for that book. It will be in my collection before it's out.
Also, at that same show we was at with John, I actually saw a lady. She was selling one for $800.
Like I said, and that's actually kind of 242 or 262.
242.
242, yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one. That's the one that came right into the Silver Age. It was right on that line. So
Now,
if it had
was
been
it-
Golden
was-
Age, that'd have been a $4,000, $5,000 book. They would have immediately just bumped it up just because it was gold. It got the Golden Age bump.
Now, was the book the lady was selling, was it in that grade or did she have it raw?
She had it. I think it was raw. I have to try and think. Was it raw? My buddy Larry was standing right next to me when I
Yeah, a lot of times they put
think it was
those
raw. But
those
she
price
had,
stickers
but she had it.
on the raw book.
Well, she had it for like 1,500. But she was like her basically. I take short. Long story short, husband was working another show, so she had to work that show, and she said she didn't want to take none of that junk home. So she said, "It's got 1,400 on it, but I'll let you get it for 800." And I told her, I said, "Ma'am, if I was looking for this, I didn't know anybody that needed it. Because if I knew one of y'all was looking for, I would have called y'all. Hey, man, y'all want this?"
Yeah, buddy.
$800, man. I'm pretty sure somebody got that afternoon.
It will be in my collection one of these days soon. I promise you.
Yeah.
That one is a must have. That and Dr. Doom Phantasm 4 #5. Got to have them.
Before I go, remind me to tell y'all the story about Dr. Doom. I'll tell y'all that story about that.
Okay.
That'll be the last thing I tell y'all before we go. So just remind me to tell y'all that story. Write that down, John. Don't let me forget that.
Oh, I ain't gonna let you forget because Doom is
Okay.
my all-time favorite. You
Yeah,
can't
mine
walk
too.
away with that.
All right, so here we go. This is Young King Cole. This is from 1947. I mean, this is another one that a lot of people, if you're trying to get into Golden Age, this is a good run to get into. It's one of those kind of, you see it a little bit, you don't see it, you see it, you don't see it, but you can always spot them at a good price. So this is one I would tell, try to be on the lookout for these.
Did you buy it slabbed or you got it graded?
Yeah, I got this one slabbed. I think I paid maybe $150.
Got it.
Maybe $150. I got it mainly. You'll see a pattern as you watch this, depending on how far we go down the line. But I like red dresses, women in distress, and I love, right when something bad about to happen. So I always tend to pick those covers up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Then this one here, this is one that went through the roof in the last 7 months. When I say going through the roof, I mean going through the roof. I paid about $300 for this, and this is one of my first crime covers. And so I was elated to get this. I bought it because of the cover. I said, yeah, this is hot coffee. This will be guaranteed that, people are going to be looking for this later on. I'm going to go ahead and get me one before it get out of hand. And so I'm glad I did, because next thing I know, Key Collector put it on the list. And I was like, well, thank God I got it before, everybody saw it.
Everybody wanted.
Because that was going to be all she wrote. But Crime Suspense Stories, number 23.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy, just no way you can make this cover in 2023. No way. This was actually using the Sodi, Seduction of the Innocent.
Yeah.
Yep, this is one of the books that's in there. And I mean, you got a man trying to drown his wife.
Yeah.
I actually went back online because I was so intrigued by the cover. I said, I want to read this. And I actually read the stories that's in there. That's pretty good. But yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, so this is probably going to set you back now, probably about $1,500. So this is probably about $1,500 a grade. I mean, a grade, yeah. So it's going to bump up to the higher the grade, higher the book. So, and you'll find one thing I will say to you in Golden Age, man. A lot of people put an emphasis. We have some of the collectors that come from modern and silver, and bronze, and modern and bronze specifically. They come in and they want high grade. They want 7s and 8s and 9s. And I have to tell them time and time again. I told a young man this weekend. I said, brother, you're not going to be finding these Golden Age books at 7s, 8s, and 9s for pennies on the dollar. It just don't happen. You only find high grade Golden Age usually in a collection. Now, there's a 0.5%, because I can't say I do have one high grade Golden Age book, but it's very, very, very rare to find Golden Age comic books in high grade. High grades would be considered, to me, in the Golden Age would be anything over a 3.5 to a 5 will be high grade for me. because that's just basically what you're gonna find. These books have had to survive a war. They've had to survive multiple wars, depending on how long the book is. They've had to survive. I joked the other day. I said they had to survive the civil rights movement. They had to survive, all kinds of history to get to you. So it's hard to find these books in high grade.
I completely agree. I mean, how many estates and whatever else, or people have sold books or burned books, or mama threw out the books when you went to school, or families didn't care, and them books they are survivors.
And then a lot of times the high grade, they come up at heritage.
Yeah,
That's what he was saying, right?
Yeah.
And then that Promise collection. I watched and listened to the story, but it was a guy working on a air conditioning because one brother went to the war. He said, "Take care of my funny books if I don't make it back from the war." He didn't make it back from the war. I'm gonna say World War II. And so the brother took care of the books, but he didn't have them in bags and boards. He had them in a box up in the attic. And it was like a air conditioning guy, it was a roofer. It was a roofer trying to fix the house. And I mean, they're talking about leaks on the roof, but the books didn't get damaged. They didn't get wet. And these books were in a box. I guess the box was sealed and they were in pristine condition. Man, that Promise collection, those books.
Yeah, those some heavy books in there, man. I enjoy watching. I sat there. Yeah. That was the first time I sat down and watched lots go over and over, just to watch them just go from 0 to 60 in less than 10 seconds. You go from a book that's $0 to 15,000 without even, and I'm talking like that was 15,000 ends at like 35,000. That collection was something to behold.